Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'd like to call the hearing to order in the knowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the home and the traditional lands of the Ojibwe, Cree, Dakota people, and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 1 territory. My name is Ron Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this afternoon. Introducing the panel members, to my left is Richard Whitbread, and to his left is Mr. Doug Marks. Our recording secretary is Stephen Lunn, and our assessor from the city of Winnipeg is Matthew Harling. We'll be hearing application for revision of assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested has been described in each application and will limit discussions to those matters. The statements that are made at the hearing are sworn testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the board. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the city administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision in respects to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to application from exemption from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this afternoon, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then will be the applicant's testimony, followed by questions. Each side will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket this afternoon. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live stream recorded and will be part of the public record. This afternoon, our items consist of 1 to 8 on the docket. I ask our secretary to swear in the assessor, and then we'll have the applicant sworn in also.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Harling.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Lyle Rock.
You affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to 11 McDonald Avenue. Mr. Harling, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-3724. The roll number is 1309-108-0000, and the address is 11 McDonald Avenue. The owner is Michael L. Gobel. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $446,000. If you look below my brief here, you'll see some pertinent information about the description of the property. It's a one-story building. The effective year built is 1948. The wall heights are 14 feet. It is zoned M2 manufacturing. The land area is 8,730 square feet with a leasable area of 8,353 square feet and a land to plan area of 1.20. If you go to page 2 of my brief, you'll just see the request for income information has been received, and there are no recent sales or subject property leases in place for this property. Comparable number 3, or page number 3 of my brief, you'll see some my rent lease comparables. They range from lease start dates of 2018 through 2019. They range from 4 to 5 years in terms of lease terms. Leasable areas range from 3,550 square feet to 10,010 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 feet to 17 feet. The effective years built range from 1956 to 1963. And the overall net rents range from $5.07 a square foot to $9.12 a square foot. So, so these are some of the comparables. These are my land sale, or lease comparables. If you go to page 4 of my brief, you'll see the income workup for the property. You'll see that the leasable area is again 8,353 square feet. We are applying a model rent of $5.31 a square foot. And we are applying a vacancy loss of 6.5%, which gives us an effective gross income of $41,471. We are allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 a square foot for shortfall, which gives us an overall net operating income of $38,137. We are applying a model cap rate of 8.55%, which gives us the overall estimated market value of $446,000. On page 5 of my brief, you'll just see another income value summary of the subject, again in the estimated market value. Now, page 9 of my brief is just some cap rate evidence. This particular property is it's an older property, and it's it's older and smaller. So we've the cap rate has been reflected in terms of the age and size and location. So if you look at under the industrial section, you'll see the cap rates range from the city of Winnipeg's 20th to 80th percentile, which means 20th to 80th, 20 to 80% of properties fall within these cap rates, and then the 5.5 to 7.45%. Obviously, we're being a little higher at 8.55, but again, that's being reflective of the conditions and quality of the property. So we're those. It's kind of an outlier, if you will, in the sense, so it doesn't fall within the typical norm. So, but we're reflecting based on its conditions. So. But yeah, so it falls within, again, the range typically it would. So, but so our cap rate would be supported. Page 7 of my brief, you'll just see some Municipal Assessment Act reserve information. And going to page 8, you'll see a subject property map of the property. You'll see where it's located on McDonald Avenue and Gomez Street. And if you further zoom out at the bottom of page 8, you'll see just a zoomed out photo just to show us in relation to where it's close to Higgins Avenue. Page 9 of my brief, you'll just see a subject photo of this subject property from the front of the building. And the bottom page 9, you'll see an aerial view just to show the outline of the parcel. This continues on page 10, just showing some different angles of the subject property just to show it's where it's situated. And page 11 continues with the parcel boundary and the current assessed value at $446,000. If you look at page 12 and 13 of brief, you'll just see the income expense mailer has been submitted. This is an owner-occupied property, so there's no income generated for this. Page 14, 15 is just a COVID-19 supplementary questionnaire we had sent to all property owners just to find out how they were affected during the COVID-19 pandemic. And page 16, 17 is just some further cap rate support, just to show, from my cap rate inputs before, just to show further support our cap rates, just to show a bit more information regarding cap rates. And page 18, the back of my brief just shows the industrial market report just to support our market rents. And you can just kind of look there and see the different market regions and the current rents or average rents, as well as vacancy and sale and average sale price per square foot and such. So that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rack, questions of the assessor?
Yes, I do. On page 1, at the bottom on property description, it shows that the actual plan area is 7265, and there's a basement area is 1,088 square feet. So the basement is small with the mechanical room. I assume you haven't been in the property, correct?
I have not, no.
So you're applying the same rate to the basement as the main floor, correct?
Yes, it'd be the overall area would be yes.
Okay. So if we go down to page 3 with your rent comparables, the closest, like you have a number of comparables that aren't in the area, and we know that the subject property is just off Higgins, would you agree that your best property close to the subject would be the Sutherland property?
I'm not really narrowing down one property. I'm just trying to show a range of properties that are similar in terms of its age, wall heights, and those factors. So I'm not picking one particular property. I'm using it as an overall. So.
But my comment is, would you agree that the Sutherland property is the closest to the subject?
Yes, it would probably be the closest if you had to say that. Yes.
Okay. And that's all my questions.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Whitbread?
Just one. I think I saw something that said it was owner occupied. Do you know what business is being conducted out of this building?
Unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure. I have to. No, unfortunately, I don't know what current tenants in there or the owner what they're using it for at this time. So.
No worries. I'll reserve for the applicant. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Marks?
Just one, the basement area, what is that utilized for?
From my understanding, it's used for primarily some storage space as well as mechanical room space.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. I just have one question. It's a little unusual that that you would put a value to the basement area at the same as the main level. So is this unusual? It's normally not done that way.
Typically, yeah. I mean, there are other situations where we will have the kind of like a basement rent. So I won't dispute that. I would have actually looked into this previously, but I just received the brief from Mr. Rack yesterday, so I didn't have time to really look into this. So.
All right. I thank you. Mr. Rack, your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if you look at page 1, you will see the building. It is quite an old building. It is actually no businesses being operated out of that building. It's personal use. They moved just down the street on Higgins Avenue. It was a retail business for remote control parts for airplanes and cars, etc. But since they moved to a bigger building, it's just basically being used for personal storage. So if you look at the bottom, or if you go to, you can see that the property increased by 88% over the time period. If you go to page 2, you will see in the commercial building summary on the bottom there that the basement space is 1,088 square feet. To get to the basement, you actually have to go to the middle of the building. Typically, I would say in all cases, in a single occupant building that has a small basement, which is basically really bad storage space and the mechanicals are down there, that within the lease, the basement space wouldn't be included. So you'd only be paying on the main floor space. And you can, on page 3, you can see the top picture there is with furnace down there with some 2x4s made for shelving. And I would say the space down there is non-leasable. You can see at the back door there, the owner does have a problem with it. There's a catch basin just outside his door, and the water has been coming in and basically making the concrete sink. He has actually contacted the city on many occasions to ask what they can do about the storm sewer being plugged all the time. So if you go down to the next page, on page 4, even though it's from 2016, that's on Main Street, and that was sold, same kind of condition as the building we're talking about, and that sold for $21.10 a square foot. So looking at the subject property would be only worth about $237,000. At the bottom there, you'll see that there are some comparables that the assessor used in 2023 on another property. And 125 Adelaide rented for $406. 34 McDonald across the street was asking rent of $4, and that's directly across the street. 323 Edwin, built in 1948, has variables amount of space you can rent at $4. And 92 Gomez, just down the street, was renting at $3.92 for gross floor area. Those three comparisons are within 3 blocks of the subject property. So I'm using the department's vacancy, expenses, shortfall, and cap rate, and I'm adjusting their rent from $5.30 to $4 and removing the basement space. So going through the calculation, I come up to a value of $287,000, which is about $50,000 more than it was in 2020. So there is an increase from 2020. And that's my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you, Mr. Rack. Questions of the applicant?
I actually no questions. They were all answered. Thank you.
Mr. Whitebread?
Whitbread?
Whitbread, sorry.
No, you know what? I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Marks?
I'm good as well. Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Rack, I'm familiar with this building. Wasn't it sold at one point? Or am I thinking of a different?
You're probably thinking of a different building because they bought it, they've had it for years.
Okay. And is this the way it looks right now, or has it changed?
So that's pretty well what it looks like today. No, it hasn't changed because like I said, they've just moved. Actually, the new building that you moved into, the back of the new building almost touches this building, and they're right on Higgins by the RC Eliminator, just by the bridge.
So, Mr. Rack, where I think I see a garage door, has that been the add-on or what?
No, I don't think it was add-on. I think that garage door was always there.
Okay.
When I inspect it, I've been in the property many times, and I don't see any indications that something was added on. It was probably used for a different use because at the time when they were using it, it's kind of chopped up inside, and the showroom was extremely small, so that's why they moved to a different location. It's basically used now for storage of a couple of race cars. The son who's works for the RC Eliminator, he's got a couple of race cars, him and his friends, so that's what they're using it for.
So are you giving any, I don't think you're giving any valuation or rental for the basement?
No, typically speaking, when you're renting a property such as this and it's only got a 1,000 square foot basement, that is included in the main floor space because it's a mechanical room down there. And as you see, the shelves are made of 2x4s. It's a very small area compared to the whole building. So typically speaking, when you rent something like that, a 1-story building, the basement is included. A landlord wouldn't charge you for the basement. The rent would be made up on the main floor.
And your cap rate is 8.55?
Yes, it's exactly the same as the assessor's cap rate. I'm using the department's cap rate.
Either party wants summation if they want?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, you okay? Okay, let's go to the next property, which is 100 Higgins Avenue. So, Mr. Assessor, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chairman. The file number is 22-3730. The roll number is 1309-127-5500. And the address is 100 Higgins Avenue, and the owner is Leon A. Brown Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,075,000. If you look below my brief, you'll see the property description information. The property is a 1-story building. The overall effective year built, or the actual year built, range from 1976 to 1977. We're using an overall effective year built of 1983. The wall heights are 20 feet. The property is zoned M2 manufacturing. The land area is 54,226 square feet with a leasable area of 15,100 feet and a land to plan area of 3.58. If you turn to page 2 of my brief, you'll just see the request for information have been received. There were no recent sales in this property. The last was in 2012, another recent sale. And there are no subject property leases in place for this particular property. If you go to page 3 of my brief, you'll see some of my rent comparables. They range from lease start dates of 2018 to 2020. They range in 3 to 5 years in terms of lease term. The leasable areas range from 3,550 square feet to 15,000 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 feet to 17 feet. The effective years built range from 1959 to 1965. And the overall net rents from the comparables range from $5.50 a square foot to $9.12 a square foot. And these are all similar storage warehouse type buildings. If you go to page 4 of my brief, you'll just see the income evaluation of the property. There are two premises in this building, 1160 square feet and 3,700 square feet. So this gives us the overall leasable area of 15,160 square feet. And we're using a blended rent of $5.75 a square foot. So that would be both those rents, the overall potential rent blended together. So if you look at the income valuation, again, you'll see we have a potential rent of $87,178. We're applying 6.5% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of $81,511. We're allowing 3% for expenses or non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 a square foot for shortfall, which gives us an overall net operating income of $75,200. And we are applying an overall capitalization rate, market cap rate, or model cap rate of 7%, which gives us the overall value of $1,075,000. If you go to page 5 of my brief, you'll see the income valuation summary and the current estimated market value. And going to page 6, just looking at the capital rate evidence, you'll see the 7% cap rate we have applying is supported by the other partners in the published rates, such as Colliers, CRB, and Christian Wakefield at 7%. So it falls within the range of cap rates we're seeing. Page 7 of my brief, you'll just see some information again regarding the Municipal Assessment Act reserves. Page 8 of my brief, you'll see a photo of the subject property, where it is located on Gomez Street and then Higgins Avenue. Going to page 9, you'll just see the parcel outline of the subject property. So those are the two buildings that are on the property. And then you'll see all the space they have to maneuver vehicles and trucks and such. And the bottom page 9, you'll just see kind of a more of a street view photo to see the some of the loading bay doors in front of the building, in one of the buildings. Page 10, you'll just see some more aerial view photos and just showing some more views of the subject. This continues on page 11. Now page 12 and 13 are just some floor plan information I was able to acquire that we had in our system. They might be slightly older, but this kind of gives you a good idea of the overall floor plan of the buildings. And page 14 of my brief, you'll just see the parcel boundary of the current assessed value. Page 15 apologize. Page 15 through 18 is just the income expense mailer. You'll see the information that was received. And page 19 through 20, again, it's just the COVID supplemental questionnaire we had asked for all property owners. Page 21 is just getting some outside sources to support our cap rates, further support the cap rates. And then page 23 of my brief will just show the industrial market report for supporters to support our rents. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harley. Mr. Rack, questions?
Just one on page 17. Was the income and expense mailer.
Yes.
Would you not agree that the rents are gross rents?
These are gross rents, correct?
That's all my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marks?
No questions from me this time.
I just have one, Mr. Harling. You have an effective age for the subject property, update. What can you tell us about that? It was, I think it's a 1976 and it went to 1997.
Well, there's two buildings, so they're different. Again, I apologize, I haven't inspected this property, but from what I was able to gather in our system, each of these buildings are different ages. So since they're on one income stream, we just kind of use an effective year built for the total age, if you will. So we're taking the entire, the fact of the newer and the older, and we come up with an effective age. So.
Okay, I thank you. Mr. Rack, your presentation.
Do you have my rebuttal brief?
We will deal with the rebuttal after your presentation, or is it rebutting something that we just heard?
Correct.
I did not receive any rebuttal, just to.
All right.
I haven't here either.
I don't think we have it. So we'll just bear with us for 1 second. And
Distributed until it's indicated that I'd like to accept it. I don't share the whole it's indicated.
Okay. You have rebuttal information, Mr. Brack? Yes?
Correct.
Okay. We have to queue it up for everybody. So bear with us.
Take a 2-minute recess.
Yeah. We'll take a 2-minute recess for that. All right?
All right.
Okay.
Okay. We'll call the hearing back to order. Mr. Rack, we're ready for your presentation. And after your presentation, we'll do questions, etc. Then we'll deal with your rebuttal. So, Mr. Rack, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's unfortunate that Matthew didn't get the rebuttal yesterday. I sent it in about 7 o'clock in the morning so that he'd have all day to take a look at it. I don't know why he didn't get it, but when I sent the email and I asked to have that forwarded to the assessor immediately, but it is what it is. So looking at page 1 of my brief, the subject property has been from the beginning when it was built till today, always used as a truck repair shop for semis. It was used for a long time. There's another building at 47 Gomez, which is actually, you can see it in the background, is a warehouse for trucking, and the original Canada cartridge that had owned the building always used this as a repair shop. So it's actually, as you can see in the picture, it is being used as a repair shop for semi-trailers and trucks. If you look at the very bottom picture where it says 100 Higgins, just below that you'll see semi-trailer, the back ends of the trailer sitting there. That's the building I'm talking about that was using that as a truck repair shop. It's been used that ever since. So we go down to the next page, page 2. You'll see that the rent the city's using is $5.75 a square foot. They are gross rents, and there's 2 tenants that occupy the entire building. If you go to page 3, you'll see that net operating income is quite low at only $28,000. Maintenance repairs are not too bad. 2019 was only $16,000. Go down to the next page 5. Basically, it's up to $77,000, so it's doing a little better. So we scroll down and to page 7, you'll see it's clicked off as gross rents. That particular year in 2016, they lost $32,000. We can go down to page 8. So you can see the net operating income from the multiple years from 2020, from 2015 to 2020. There are a couple good years, but mostly they're quite low. Go down to page 9, you'll see the expenses. So the average expenses are $57,163 for that time period. And if you continue to go, I removed the highest and the lowest of the expenses. So basically, I'm coming at basically 37,986 for the expenses. So 2016 and 2015 were the high and the low. That's why on the average, those are 0. If you get the actual rents that they're receiving, it's 104,188. That is basically gross rent. Expenses have been reduced down to 37,986. You're getting a net income of basically $4.37 a square foot. And I applied the department's vacancy, expenses, non-recoverable, and then the shortfall of 385, and a 7% cap rate to get a total value of 804,000. That's my presentation.
I thank you. Mr. Harling, questions of the applicant?
I'm just one question. Just looking at the history of the mailers, and the expenses. There's quite a there's quite a variation in terms of the maintenance and repair. For example, 2020 it's 33,000. 2019 it's 15, then it drops to 3,000, and then 4,000. So, do you have any idea what kind of what these maintenance and repair costs, like what are they doing? Are these maybe be considered capital cost expenditures potentially, or do you know why they're so high in some years and others not as high? So
there were certain years that the building, I know there's one year that it required a lot of work to the actual structure, the exterior, etc. That's why I removed the high and the low. So I've taken the expenses from an average of 57,000 down to 38,000, which I believe is more realistic. Because you got to remember the expenses also include, because it's a gross rent, it's including insurance, it's including taxes, it's including everything that operating of the building. If you look at it, you'll see that property taxes are included, insurance is included, management is included, basically water and waste removal, maintenance, repair. So everything's included. So that's why expenses are high and certain years plus repairs to the building. And that's why I chose to remove the low and remove the high to basically bring down the expenses average about $20,000.
and then you came up with a net rent. I guess if you're 437, okay. Okay, that's all. That's all my questions.
I thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, Mr. Marks?
No questions for me, thank you.
I just have observation. So, Mr. Rack, the city's at 7% cap and you're the same, so it's just a matter of the income and gross and net. Correct?
Correct.
All right. Either party wants summation?
Nope, I think I'm good.
Okay. Let's go to number 92 Gomez Street. I'm sorry, wait a second. Yeah, okay. Sorry, there's we're going to deal with the rebuttal information. So I think just give us a second to key it up. All right. Mr. Rack, your rebuttal, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so page 1, as I stated before, it's a semi-truck maintenance shop. That's its use. That's why it has so many doors and the door at the back. And these are just the assessor's comparables. So the first one we have is 1111 Winnipeg Avenue at 912, and it's only 3,550 square feet. And this is basically as of October 3rd, 2022. And you'll see that that particular comparable is actually an office. There is no repair area in there. and it's got low ceilings, and you can see the inside is more like an office. If you go to comparable number 2 on Aaron at $7, it's not really a service garage. I guess you could use it, but you could never get a large truck in there. I mean, if you see the truck sitting in front of it, I don't even think that would back to the door. So the ceilings are too low. And if you go to comparable number 3, 812 Wall at $550, and you'll see that's an auto parts store. There's multiple tenants in there, but it's basically all retail. And then the last one at 4, or the fourth one in Clifton, you'll see that there is very small doors and the building is very shallow, not deep like the subject property. So then again, it's not, I don't think you can get a semi in there, but it's not really that comparable. And then if you go to number 5, you'll see that that's a large warehouse, and you look at the front of it, and it's got a large area that's office space, which obviously you would pay a higher rent to be in there with all that office space. So I think that, you know, the assessor, I'm sure he's busy in that, but some of these comparables that has listed today for the subject property, I don't think are that comparable. And that's my presentation on the rebuttal, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you. Mr. Harling, you have questions in regards to the presentation or the rebuttal information?
No, I'm again, the comparables, I understand Mr. Rack's point on them, but at the same time, you know, we're looking at the overall, you know, age, quality, condition of the building. So yeah, I don't dispute that, but I still think they're not, you know, terrible comparables. But and I understand it's what it's used for, but that's all I have to say. So.
All right, I thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Questions?
Yes, but can I redirect a question?
Sure.
Assessor?
Yeah.
Mr. Harling, your rent rate, I think you had it at $567 and $6 for the 2 spaces.
That is correct. $567 and $6, correct.
All right. Was that a model rent?
Those are model rents, correct? Yes.
And how many, of your estimation, how many properties would you have seen plugged into the model to arrive at that rent?
Well, again, this is why we ask for income expense mailer information, because we use essentially, we kind of like we look at the whole spectrum of rents, and we try to find rents, you know, or buildings that would be similar size, age, location, wall height. Those are the factors that we would use, and then we would try to apply rents that would reflect those, you know, similar types of buildings. So
Right.
I don't have unfortunately exact number, unfortunately, how many it would be. So,
but many. Let's
yeah,
say
it would be more. It would, yes. It's definitely not just like, you know, 2 or 3. It would be a very large amount. Yes.
So with respect to this property, did you look at the condition of the property? Did you look at the use of the property? And did you adjust that rental value in any way for this hearing?
I did not know. I did not for this one. No.
Okay, so it's purely a model driven rent.
That is correct. It's purely model. Yes, correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
I thank you. Mr. Marks?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Okay, I have no questions. Either party, one submission?
I'm good. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay. We'll go on to the next property, which is 92 Gomez Street. So, Mr. Harling, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-3733. The roll number is 1309105500. The address is 92 Gomez Street, and the owner is Leon E. Brown Limited. Roll number, the 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $410,000. If you look below under the property description information, the effective year built with the subject is 1911. Wall heights are 10 feet. It is zoned M2 manufacturing general. Land area is 5,959 square feet. And the leasable area is 19,749 square feet with a land to plan area of 1. Page 2 of my brief, you'll just see some request for income information was received. And there are no recent subject sale histories, sales, or is there no property leases in place in this property. Comparable 3 are some of my rent comparables. They range in a lease start date from 5 to 10 years. They are 4,500 square feet to 16,676 square feet. The wall heights range from 11 feet to 12 feet. And the effective years built range from 1905 to 1925. And the net rents range from $4.06 a square foot to $9.25 a square foot. And also these comparables are, the subject property is considered a loft warehouse, and these are all loft warehouse comparables as well. So if you turn to page 4 of my brief, you'll just see the income valuation summary. Again, you'll see here we have multiple premises in this particular property. And we're using a overall blended rent of $3.87 a square foot. The overall leasable area, 19,749 square feet. The overall rent gives us a potential rent of $76,577. This particular property has had some vacancy issues for quite some time, so it's chronic vacancy. So we are reflecting that, and we are applying a 25% vacancy for that reason. This gives us an effective gross income of $57,433. We are allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 a square foot to cost the cover of shortfall or for vacancy. This gives us overall net operating income of $36,702. And we're applying an overall capitalization rate of 8.95%, which gives us the estimated market value of $410,000. Page 5 of my brief, you'll just see again the other breakdown of the income value summary. And page 6, again, just some cap rate information. Again, this being an older building in the lower wall heights and such, we would apply a higher cap rate. So it would be like an outlier in terms of the cap rates just based on those conditions. So page 7 of brief is just the municipal assessment tax reserve information. And page 8 of my brief, you'll just see a photo of the subject property and where it's relation to on Higgins Avenue, and just see where Gomez Street is located. Page 9 of my brief, you'll just see the parcel outline of the subject property and where it's located in Gomez. Page 10, you'll just see kind of a zoomed up photo, just again to show a bit more context of where it's located on Gomez Street and where Higgins Avenue is located. And page 11 of brief, you'll just see some photos of the subject property. So above is just a street view photo, and at the bottom of page 11, it's just an aerial photo of the subject. And this continues on page 12, 13. Again, you can just see a better idea of the story of the building itself. And let's continue on page 14, just another angle as well as the parcel boundary, $410,000. Page 15, I've just included a kind of just a floor plan, the most up-to-date floor plan we had in our system, just to show the area. This is the second floor. I didn't have any ones that fourth, you have the main or the third. So page 16, 17 of brief, you'll just see the income and expense mailer information that was provided. And these are our gross rents as well as with the previous property. This continues to page 19. On page 20 and 21 of my brief is just the COVID-19 supplementary questionnaire we had asked. Page 22 and 23 are just some cap rate support again. And then lastly on page 24, this is just the industrial market report just to support our rents. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rack, questions?
Just one on page 16. The income and expense mailer.
Correct.
As you notice that it was 66% vacant and it actually lost $29,000. Did that kind of trigger anything to look at the vacancy over the last several years in the income and expense mailers to determine whether or not the 25% was applicable?
Again, we would look at for chronic vacancy issues, we would look at it over a larger span of time. So if it's just 1 year, you know, if it's a 1 year off year, then we wouldn't do that. But over like a span of 4 or 5 years, if it's chronic, yes, we would apply the maximum percentage of 25% of vacancy.
Okay, no more further questions.
I thank you, Mr. Whitbread.
Yes, Matthew, that vacancy rate you use,
Yes,
would you call that a chronic vacancy rate,
correct.
25%?
Yes, correct.
And typically, how long does that span to become a chronic?
I mean, there's no set number, but typically if I had to say, we would, look around probably around, 4 to 5 years. If you're seeing consistent, vacancy, then we would consider something like that to be a chronic vacancy issue.
Okay. Do you know what the use of this building is right now?
I believe it's actually currently completely vacant at this point. Let me just double check the mailer again. Again, I apologize, I didn't have a chance to inspect this one. I think there's one, just looking at the mailer, there's 110, I think, in there, but they're using a very small amount of space. So that's, and again, I don't unfortunately know what the space is being used for at this time. I apologize. So.
Okay. No further questions. Thanks.
I thank you, Mr. Marks.
Just one, are those overhead doors usable by a semi, or is it just small trucks that can get in there?
I mean, I think you'd have a hard time getting a semi in there because it's a pretty, Gomez Street is the only access. So I don't think you could fit like a full 50-foot semi, maybe a smaller truck you might be able to fit in there, but not a full semi by any means. So I don't believe no.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. The 1-to-1 ratio for the property, it's quite small then.
Yeah, again, this is an older building. It's like a 1911. It's a loft warehouse. So typically, it's obviously multiple story buildings. So yes, there's no potential for expansion. But I mean, if this were like in certain other areas of the city, I could see it being a problem. But this again being an older loft warehouse building, I don't see the lower land to building ratio being a significant issue, to be honest. So.
And as Mr. Whitbread said, it's a chronic vacancy, and the department's using the standard 25% vacancy rate.
25% correct.
The lot size is like 6,000 square feet, roughly.
Roughly about just shy of 6,000, correct.
When does this revert? When does the building become void and it reverts to land value?
I mean, there's no specific situation where we would do that. I mean, if the building was, let's say, couldn't be used at all, and like, let's say the land was worth more than the building, then maybe that would be something we would look at. But I understand the building is vacant, but it still does have potential to be rented out. So I don't think it's at a point yet where it's will be considered not usable space anymore. Again, we'll change properties when it comes to vacant land. Again, it would have to be an issue of a serious issue of like condition, quality, and the building not being usable really, or it's not its highest and best use, if you will. So
I thank you, Mr. Harley. Mr. Rack, your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a comment, when I was at the department, we thought that chronic vacancy is anything over like after 3 years if it continues. So the assessor's pretty close there for it, but I'd say 5 years is a little excessive. But anyways, so if you take a look at my brief, page 1, there's a picture of the building, and the owners actually spent some money in there trying to, if you look at page 2, pictures inside, he has spent some money trying to clean it up and rent it out. Just for some reason, I mean, it's the last building by the railroad tracks. It's on Gomez, just off Higgins, and he can't get any people to rent the place. Basically, he's had a hard time. And if you go to page 3, you'll see the potential income for the department's using 387, which I don't think it's too bad. But if you go to page 4, you'll see that the income and expense, the vacancy was basically 50% in 2012. He had 2 good years, in 13 and then 16, and actually 14 and 15. Unfortunately, he didn't have any mailers sent in, and he was penalized for that. But if you're looking at 17 to 16%, now you're getting 2018, 2019, and 2020, it was 66%, and it's still 66% vacant today. The rents are gross. And so I'm looking at it, and the best year of all, out of all those years, is 2017, when he made $22,271. So if you use an 8.5%, 8.95% cap rate the assessor's using, you get a value of $249,000. So basically, I'm just asking, if you go to page 3, you'll see that in 2020, the building was valued at $326,000, which I think is a little high, but I'm just asking the board today is just to reduce it down to the 2022 level, or the 2020 reassessment level of 326,000, which is a lot more than the actual, I think it's worth at about 250,000. So that's my presentation, Mr. Chairman. I'm just asking it to be reduced back to 2020 level of value at 326,000. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Mr. Harling, questions?
Yes, I see. I understand what you're saying here, what you're asking for, but at the 326. But so do you have any? You don't have like a workup to kind of give an idea of like? I understand like it's based on our previous assessments. So, but I guess you have nothing. You're not using anything to support that. It just kind of that's just based on you think it should be worth that. I'm assuming just obviously what your personal opinion, I guess, or.
Well, otherwise, then I'm asking them today for 249,000 and just basically capping, no vacancy because the vacancy is already there. Maintenance has already been taken care of, and basically, then I should be asking for $249,000. If anybody was going to buy the property, they'd buy it based on that. But based on the history, I don't think anybody would buy it. I'm just coming up with a value, so a reasonable value to pay taxes on. No one's going to buy that building when you're looking over the years of the rents he's getting when it was occupied. And today, for 4 years, it's been 66% vacant, and the present tenant is month to month, so they could leave at any time too, and now you're stuck with an empty building. 2019, he lost 14,000. 2020 lost basically 29,000. And 2021, I know he lost, I think it was about 28,000, 27,000. So I don't think anybody's going to buy it. It's unsaleable. So I'm just kind of trying to come up with a reasonable number that bottom line is to pay taxes on. So yeah, I don't have anything. There's no way you could basically come up with anything unless you're using 50% vacancy, or if you're using 30%. I mean, it's going to make the building worth virtually nothing anyway. So that's the logic I'm using.
Okay, no, that's fine. And I was just curious too, like I guess overall, like you said, there's some work done. So the building is like, it's not in, bad condition by any means. I guess like it's still okay, I guess, for the most part, I guess.
Yeah, it's not bad for, basically it's 1911 building. And it's an old building. I mean, it's just the location. I mean, it's by the tracks and it's off Higgins. And I mean, they did have a tenant on the main floor. The last tenant on the main floor was Rag Pickers, which is just like a secondhand store. So you're not going to get any high-end tenants. You're going to get some business that's just scraping by or just starting up. So your tenant quality is going to be very, very low. But yeah, it's not a terrible building. It's just location off Higgins.
Okay, well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
Mm-hmm. Is the building currently for lease, sir?
Yes, this on page 1, that picture and the pictures on page 2 are all from his website. Leon A. Brown has a website with all those buildings. He has quite a few buildings, and yeah, that's basically from his website for lease. And I think you can see on the first picture there on page 1, there is a little blue sign there. I believe it's basically asking for rent, but he does have a website where he advertises space.
Okay. Typically, we see mailers come in with the evidence that, or not mailers, we see information, brochures, etc., come in with the evidence that indicate it's for lease, it's actively for lease, and he's really trying to rent this building out. I don't see any of that in your evidence, do I? Other than this page.
Well, page 1 and the pictures on page 2 are from his website, Leon A. Brown.
I understand. So that's his method of marketing the building.
Yes, he has his own website because he owns, I think he has about 22 buildings.
Okay.
We're going to have some more of his buildings today that are actually up for appeal. So sorry I didn't capture that, but that I didn't make that up. That's actually, that's why you see on page 1, like if you're looking at, it says main floor, it says clean open space, and then there's that blue that says display, and it says large boardroom windows, and windows is in blue, freight is in blue, sewing is blue. If you click on those, you'd get more information. That's why they're highlighted in blue.
Thank you. No further questions.
I thank you. Mr. Marks?
Yes, have there been upgrades electrically in this building?
I don't know. I would assume for the age, there was probably, I don't know for sure, but I would assume in a building this old, there must have been some, but I don't know, to be honest with you.
And it states in this blurb here that the freight elevator is operational. Is that an original freight elevator from 1911?
It would be, yes.
Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
They'll say 3-phase power here
Okay,
on the second floor.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Marks.
thank you very much.
Mr. Rack, the city's used the 8.95 cap rate. So, based on your value at 249, but taking into consideration the 326, and I'm looking at your NOI, so you'd probably use a cap rate of 10%. Now, do you think that's warranted? Or do you want to, you haven't provided us with any, other than, I guess, no information in regards to, what we can look at in regards to how you got to, these figures. So I'm just wondering whether you would go with the cap rate of the city, or would you maybe be higher?
Well, the value of 249 is actually the cap rate of the city applied just to the best NOI of 22,271, which is 2017. I mean, to use a different cap rate, I would have to estimate what kind of rent he would get. And I went through that procedure, and basically the value would be lower if I used a higher cap rate, because cap rate really affects value fast. But I mean, it's how do you deal with a building like this that you're not, he can't rent it today. I mean, he's basically, you can't rent it. So what do you do with it? You can play with a lot of numbers and come up with what it would rent for, the past rents, and then come up with a cap rate, but there's no evidence on cap rates of buildings like this are few and far between. So, I mean, if you're just using the city's cap rate and the NOI, that without taking into consideration vacancy and shortfall and just capping it, that's where I get at an 8.95% cap rate on that NOI, I'm getting 250, 249. So that's why I'm just asking for the value what it was in 2020, which is a lot higher. Like I say, this building would never sell. No one would buy it. So how do you actually deal with the valuation of it? It's definitely not going to sell what the assessor's asking for when it's empty. Someone's going to buy a building for the income stream. And then when you have no income stream and the only tenant you have is month to month, they can leave at any time. That's the worst tenant to have is month to month. But Yeah, it's a difficult thing to come up with.
All right, I thank you, Mr. Reck. Either party wants summation?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Okay. Let's go to 931 Wall Street. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Assessor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-3748. The roll number is 13096006900. The address is 931 Wall Street, and the owner is 60737 Manitoba Limited. 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,141,000. If you look below on page 1, you'll see the property description information. The actual or the effective year built subject is 1989. It's got 25-foot wall heights. It is zoned M1 manufacturing light. It has a land area of 15,528 square feet with a leasable area of 9,970 square feet and a land to plan area of 1.56. If you go to page 2 of my brief, you'll just see the request for information has been received. There's a sale here, but this is a multi-role sale, so it's not relevant. There are no subject property leases in place. If you look at page 3 of my brief, you'll see my rent comparables. My rent comparables range start date from December 1st, 2018 to December 14th, 2020. They range in 2 to 6 year terms. They range in terms of size of 4,195 square feet to 15,019 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 to 18 feet, and the effective years built range from 1955 to 1988. And the effective net rents range from $7.31 a square foot to $12.35 a square foot. Page 4 of my brief, you'll see the income valuation summary. Again, the leasable area is 9,970 square feet, and we are applying a model rent of $8.48 a square foot, which gives us a potential rent of $84,564. We're applying for 6.5% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of $79,051. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverable expenses and $3.85 per square foot for shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $74,184. And we are applying a model cap rate of 6.5%, which gives us an estimated value of $1,141,000. If you go to page 5 of my brief, you'll just see again the income valuation summary and the current assessed value. Page 6 of my brief, again, just the capitalization rate of information. Again, this property being at 6.5% would be based on its age and wall height and condition and location. So again, the 6.5% cap rate falls within the 28th percentile of the city of Winnipeg, as well as if you look at the published rates of Collier, CRB, Cushman Wakefield, it falls within the range of those reported rates as well. So I believe the cap rate is supported. Page 7 of brief, you'll just see the municipal assessment active information. If we turn to page 8, you'll just see the subject property map and where the property is located on Wall Street. Turn to page 9, you'll just see a subject photo of the subject property street view, just to kind of see the picture of the building. And at the bottom, you'll see some overhead views of the subject property from the front as well as from the back. Continues on page 10, you'll see some further views of the subject property, where it is located on Wall Street. And then lastly, on page 11, you'll just see the parcel boundary and the current assessed value. We go to page 12 and 13. These are some floor plans, the most recent ones we have in file, so I just want to throw in, just kind of show just the floor plans of the subject property. Page 10 through 17 is the income expense matter, which was received by the property. And page 18 to 19, again, it's just the COVID questionnaire question we get sent out to property owners. Page 20 through 21, just further cap rate evidence to support our cap rates, our model cap rate we applied. And then just lastly on the page 22 is just the industrial market report, just to support our market rents. That is my presentation. Thank you.
I thank you. Select questions?
I have no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marks?
Just one, was this a model driven number as well?
For which, for the overall, like the cap rate or the rent or which? Or,
The cap rate,
yes, that would be all model. Yes, correct.
okay, and for the rental per square foot as well.
That would be as well, correct.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. I have no questions. Mr. Rack, your presentation?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do have a rebuttal brief for this particular property also, so I guess I'll deal with that after I do my brief.
Correct. All right, Mr. Rack, your presentation. And then we'll deal with the rebuttal.
Sure. So page 1, as you'll see a picture of the property, and as the assessor said, it's got 24-foot high ceilings. If you go to page 2, you'll see that basically it is it at least states net, but not all all costs were recovered. Recovered property tax and some maintenance, but insurance is and property management repairs, and some of the repairs and maintenance is included. They're getting an NOI of $48,224. So it's basically renting out at $4.83 at $4.83 per square foot net. So if you go down, you'll see that I have a number of comparables, and these are from the Johnson report from 2020 to 2021. The single and multiple units, properties, industrial properties, and that average comes out to $5.53 a square foot. Just below that, you'll see from 2023 hearings that these are some comparables assessors have used on other properties, which are similar to the subject property, and you're getting an average of about $6.20 a square foot. So the property is getting $4.83 per square foot. Asking rents are at $5.53 a square foot, and basically the assessor's comparables are at $6.20 a square foot. So for my valuation, I'm going to use the assessor's comparables, the average of $6.20 a square foot. And I'm going to apply the department's parameters for vacancy, shortfall, and expenses, and the cap rate. So the only thing I'm doing is adjusting the rent at $6.20 a square foot. And I come up with a value of $824,000. And if you go to page 5, there are 2 sales. First one here at 725 Century. Similar to the subject property in some ways. It's got 12 to 18 foot ceilings, not 24 feet. And it sold for $66.16 per square foot. So if we apply that to the subject property, we're getting $659,000. 1000 McPhillips on page 6. That has a ceiling height quite similar, if not exactly the same as the subject property. Same kind of usage. And that's 32,720 square feet. That sold on September 29th, 2020. That sold for $64.18 a square foot. So if you apply that to the subject property, you get $639,874. That's a pretty good comparable. So if you go back to that value, and I'm asking for basically at $6.20 a square foot, I'm asking for $824,000, which is considerably higher. So that's what I'm requesting, and that's my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Matthew, questions of Mr. Rack?
I have a couple. So just go to page 2 of your brief. When you show the income expense mailer, you say it's a net rent of roughly 483 and the NOI of $48,224. If you look at the bottom of if you look at the annual expenses, you can see they're recovering the property taxes, correct?
That's correct.
So if we were to try to really net that out, wouldn't we have to add that net rent or, add that, income into for example, if we take the total income, subtract all the other expenses, subtract the property taxes, that would be kind of more how we get that net rent, wouldn't it be correct? Or
Could you say that again?
for example, if you see the total income at 95,000, if for example, you have your net income at 48,224. So since they're recovering the property taxes, we would have to add that back into the net operating income, which would be closer to would be the 48,224 plus the 22,166, which would be closer to about 70,000, would it not?
No, you're getting a total of 95,386. You're getting total expenses at 47,162. So you're adding it in.
Oh, I see that.
The
I apologize.
Because you're recovering it, but you still have to have it on the property tax side. So the difference is 48,224. Mathematically, that's how you do it.
But they're still recovering those property taxes, so those shouldn't be really included in we're just taking the total income, subtract the overall expenses. I mean, I understand that you still have to include or whatever, but they're recovering that property taxes though. So the net rent would be higher.
Well, no, it isn't. I mean, this is your sheet that the city sends out. It's got the rent. It's 72,282, and now you add in the utilities that's recovered, and you add in the property taxes. Now, on the expense side, the owner paid for those property taxes. You can't add them back in. I mean, this is the sheet that's set out. Mathematically, it makes sense. So he's paying it. He's getting it back. He still has $18,000 for repairs and maintenance, and that, unless that doesn't add up properly, you still have to add in the property taxes, even though he pays for it. You can't add it back in. That's what
I
is, total income.
Okay, I'll just leave it at that actually. Yeah. So, but I do have another question. So, just looking at some of the comparables you're using here at the top of the Johnson report here, these comparables would be quite a bit larger than the subjects. So, would you not maybe agree that a larger building would typically have a lower rent than a smaller building?
Yeah, I'm showing that because there's some here that, like, for example, number 2, church, that's a multi-tenant building, but that's how much is for rent. In other words, there's a bunch of smaller spaces, and that goes with like Paramount. It's a multi-tenant building, so that's the total area of the building, and there's lots of spaces for rent. I'm just showing that basically those are the rents that you could get for spaces.
Okay.
Because there are some here, like for example, Brookside is 12,000 square feet. Basically, the one at 5 is 12,000 square feet at 550. But I'm not relying on those. I'm just showing that there's a lot of space in the city for rent. What I'd use it. What I'm relying on is the assessors.
Okay.
Those are the assessors' rents at 650, 625. So at 620 for basically 10,000 square feet. That pulls in well with number 3 at the top, 5 at 550. What else do we have in that range? And we've got basically Brookside at 12,000 square feet at 625. I mean, overall, that's, I think $6.20 is reasonable considering that they're only getting $4.83. So I think I'm being pretty generous with my evaluation.
But again, too, like, if you look at the assessor comps here, they're quite a bit larger too. So, like, these, like, I mean, so don't you resell though? Like, a larger building is going to get higher, lower rent than a smaller one.
Oh, I agree with that. But I just finished stating to you that the subject property is about 10,000 square feet. So if you look at number 3 from the Johnson report, that's 12,000 square feet. That's pretty close. That's at 550.
Oh.
The next one at number 10, Brookside, is 12,000 square feet, and that's 625. But you got to remember that when it says multi-tenant, there's smaller spaces, and those multi-tenants, you could rent 5,000, 7,000,
Yes,
6,000 square
I'm
feet,
aware of
because there are multiple units.
Okay, no, I was speaking more to the other comparables, the ones at the bottom, the assessor's comps you recovered from much, or you got. So again, those are quite a bit larger too, though, wouldn't you agree? So
I would, and basically, I'm just using those to get a higher value on the property. I mean, if I go to the top one and use 5 for that, I'm just using the assessor's comparables. But there actually becomes a point, like at 19,000, 31,000, 31,000 from 10,000, that the economies of scale, when you're looking at warehouse space, doesn't exist. You have to get, I mean, a lot of times you're looking at warehouse space, it's not like retail space where you rent 1,000 square feet in an office, or if you've got a retail location, and if you're renting 10,000 square feet, there are economies of scale. I agree with you. But when you're talking about warehouse space, that whole rule of economies of scale is blown out of the window. Like, I mean, for example, if you look at the Johnson report, you're getting spaces, basically the Fife number 3 is 550. Now you're going up to basically 70,000 at 6, 80,000 at 6. You go down to Brookside, it's 12,000 square feet, 6 1/4, slight little difference. Then you go to King Edward, it's 54,000, it's 595. McPhillips is 475, so 61,000. And then the Wellington is 41,000 square feet at 6. So, I mean, just these numbers here show that economies of scale really, when you get to those big properties to 10,000 to 30,000 square feet or 26,000 square feet, they don't really apply.
let's continue, I guess. Okay, so yeah, well, I think that's all the questions I have. So
Thank you, Mr. Harling. Mr. Whitbread?
Just a little confusion. You can maybe clear up, Mr. Rack. You talked about 48,224 as a net operating income from the mailer. I get that. You said you would agree with the city's 6.5% cap rate, and that came up to 742,000 roughly. Yet you've offered a number at 824. Can you just explain to me how you made that leap? What contributed to that 824? I don't see any evidence to support that.
Just give me a moment, Mr. Chairman, unless I did some kind of error.
Did you use a different net operating income? Oh, here, I found it. You used 53,567 instead of the 4,24. That's it?
Yeah, I'm using that number comes out from the 620 a square foot.
Okay.
When you
Thank
start
you.
crunching it out, that's how it comes out.
Okay, no other questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marks?
No, my question been answered. Thank
Okay,
you.
I just have just a couple questions. Mr. Rack, this is your client, correct?
Correct.
There was a sale, and I should have asked the assessor, back in 2016, $4,065,000. What do you know about that?
Yeah, back in that was brought up, and all the assessor brought all the information at in 2020, and I was well aware of that. That was a multiple property sale. I think there was 4 or 5 properties that were sold as a package, and they were all on Wall Street. The owners like become like the king of Wall Street.
All right. So you're saying it's a property sale.
That's correct. It was I know for sure it was 4 properties. It could have been 5, but for sure it was 4 properties.
So we won't go into it because it's 16 anyway. So, Mr. Rack, you have presented sort of a direct sales comparison approach for some of the properties. So these are just probably a rule of thumb checks that you're doing with this. Are you not? Because basically, these particular properties sell on an income approach. Do they not?
Correct.
So, so your calculations for the direct sales in regards to a square foot sale price per square foot, that's just almost like a double check in regards to concluding value.
That's correct. I don't rely on the sales. They're basically there just to kind of show whether or not I'm on the right track.
You're in line, or yeah, okay.
It's just additional evidence.
All right. I think, Mr. Rack, you have rebuttal for this, and our secretary, I think, has probably posted it. So we're going to deal with your rebuttal.
Is that 3748?
I'm not there yet.
Right at the bottom.
Right at the bottom.
There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rack, your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So page 1 is you'll see the subject property, 24-foot high ceilings. It's basically, they have hoists in there for moving around granite. They've got CNC machines. So that's what they're doing in that particular location. So, and there's a very small showroom. So basically, Assessor's Comparable Number 1 at 1801 Sargent Avenue, as you can see, it is a large warehouse, but it has an extremely large office area in the front. So that would contribute to a higher rent. If you look at 1433 Aaron Street, you'll see that's nothing like the subject property. It has an office in the front. Probably 30% of the building or more is office, which would have a higher rent. And you can guarantee that's not a 24-foot high ceiling. That's probably about 14 feet. So you couldn't use it for stacking pallets or a warehouse like the subject property. 1400 Regent Ave or Sargent Avenue at 1008, that building is all retail. And you'll see it doesn't have 24-foot high ceilings. Even the small piece in the corner there at the front wouldn't be 24-foot high ceilings. So you could not use that as a storage warehouse and pile pallets 4 or 5 high. So that's not a comparable property to the subject. And you'll see at the bottom there, it's Benjamin Moore, and those are probably 12, 14-foot high ceilings maximum, and it's all retail. So that would demand a higher rent being retail space. And the last one at the bottom at 1733 St. Matthews has a large showroom area in the front. And you can see how low the ceilings are in that particular building. So that is not a storage warehouse either. So again, comparables are a little sketchy in my opinion. I think what I've supplied is a lot more accurate to valuation, and that's my rebuttal presentation, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harling, questions of the rebuttal?
No, I just believe that's Mr. Rack's opinion, so I'll just leave it at that. So,
Mr. Whitbread?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Marks?
No questions. It's same thing.
All right. Either party wants summation?
no, I'm good. Thank you.
No,
Okay, we're going to take about a 5 to 7 or 10-minute break. So we'll shut it down and we'll reconvene at 2:38.
thank you.
Thank you.
Can they hear us?
So we finished with that one. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And this next one's got a rebuttal on it too.
9:08.
You're back. All right. We'll call a hearing back to order and we'll go to the next property on the docket, which is 983 Wall Street. Mr. Harling, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-3749. The roll number is 1309-600-6500. The address is 983 Wall Street, and the owner is 60737 Manitoba Limited. 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $1,273,000. If you look at the property description information below, you'll see the effective year built is 1953. The wall heights are 16 feet. The land area is 27,438 square feet, with the leasable area of 12,500 square feet, and the land to plan area of 2.20. If you go to page 2 of my brief, you'll just see the request for income information has been received. If you actually look further below on the property, again, there's that sale, actually that multi-role sale. This was another property that was involved in that, but again, we're not going to, it's a multi-role sale, so I won't place any weight on that. And there's no subject property leases in place. If you go to page 3 of my brief, some of my land sale lease comparables, they're actually very similar to the previous property. They range from 3 to 6 years in term. They're roughly around 6,800 to 15,000 square feet. The wall heights range from 14 to 17 feet. The effective years built range from 1956 to 1988. And the net rents range from $7 to $12.35 a square foot. We go to page 4 of my brief. You'll see the income workup. We're using a model rent of $8.81 a square foot at a leasable area of 12,500 square feet, which gives us a potential rent of $110,125. We're allowing 6.5% for vacancy, which gives us an effective gross income of $102,967. We're allowing 3% for non-recoverables and $3.85 per square foot for shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $96,750. $96,750. And then we are applying a 7.6% cap rate to give us the estimated market value of $1,273,000. If we go to page 5, just the further income value summary page. Going to page 6, we'll just see the cap rate evidence, 7%, I believe. If you look at the reported cap rates, is supported by the outside partners in the by Colliers, Christian Wakefield, and CRBE. If we go to page 7, it's just the municipal assessment act information. Page 8 of my brief is just the subject property, the map of the subject property on Wall Street. Page 9 of my brief, you'll just see some photos of the subject property and it's the outline of the subject. Page 10 of my brief, you'll just see some photos of the subject property, some both views from the front and the sides. Page 11, we'll just see some aerial views of the subject property. And page 12, you'll just see the parcel outline and the current assessed value. Page 13 through 16 is just the income and expense mailer that would have been provided. Page 17 through 18 is just the COVID supplemental questionnaire. And again, page 19 through 20 is just the cap rate support evidence. And then lastly, on page 21 is just the industrial market rent support. That is my presentation. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Rack, questions?
No questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Whitford?
I do have one. I'm just trying to get my numbers here.
Okay.
Matthew, can you explain, please? You've indicated a rent of 110, 125, a rental income, correct?
Oh, there's 1 second. Excuse me. It's that page 110, 125. Correct. Yes.
110,125. I'm reading that right.
That is correct. Yes.
And how do you reconcile that against the mailer that indicates a rental income of 68,750? Please help me understand that.
Well, when we're using, again, this is a model rent, so we're using other properties. Again, like as I said before in the other question you had, we look at income expense mailers of other properties, similar age, size, location, wall heights, those matters. And this is the model rate that we applied for this particular property. So I understand there's some differences, but I mean, yes, but that's since this model, yes. So
But when you see a rent differential of roughly 50%, then you don't intervene and say, I need to adjust that. I know the model allows you to adjust. Right. But you didn't do that in this case.
No, I'll be honest with you. Like I didn't have a lot of time to, and like I said, perfectly, if I had more time, I would have liked to inspected all the properties and then, could have made adjustments accordingly. But no, I didn't get a chance to really go into depth. So no, I didn't take that into account. So
Okay. Thank you, Matthew. That's
I thank you. Mr. Marks?
No questions, thank you.
I don't have any either, so, Mr. Rack, the floor is yours, sir. And then you have another rebuttal for this one here, so we'll do your presentation and then we'll deal with the rebuttal. Mr. Rack?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yep. So on page 1, as you'll see, this is Mako Auto Body. So it's used as an auto body shop. You'll see that the assessor is using $8.81 per square foot, page 1. Page 2, you can see that taxes are recoverable and the insurance is recoverable and the maintenance repair is only $293. So basically it is a pretty good net rent. I mean, I don't think you get a better net rent. So the actual net rent of the property is $5.46 per square foot. I've got a whole bunch of comparables. We've gone through these before. Some of these with the multi-tenant buildings would have space pretty well the same size. They have the same 14 or 16 foot ceiling heights. And then we go to the assessors comparables. And from the asking rents at $546, the assessors are at $620. And I'm going to apply for my valuation basically $6 a square foot. So using the department's vacancy, expenses, and shortfall, and their cap rate, get $854,000. And again, I've got some sales comparison, and the first one's on Stapleton Avenue, which is just off Nairn. Built in 71, it's basically 14,590 square feet. Auto shop, Pro Auto Properties, so they're using it for repairs and maintenance. Same kind of building. It has multiple pieces, but used for the same purpose. If you apply the actual sale price, we're getting $852,000. Then we're again at the one on Century Avenue, which could be used for the same purposes. It's got a couple of overhead doors to get cars in, and that would make the property, subject property, about $827,000. So, and basically, my valuation is slightly higher than the Nairn and a little bit higher than the other property, warehouse on King Edward. So I'm looking for a net of $6, which is a little bit higher than the subject property. And applying the department's parameters, I'm getting $854,000. That's my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you. Mr. Harley, question?
I have no questions.
Fred?
no questions. Thank you.
Mr. Marks?
No questions from me, thank you.
So, Mr. Rack, you're in agreement in regards to the cap rate, the same as the city?
Yes,
So it's just a matter of rents?
correct.
Okay. Let's deal with your rebuttal.
Okay, page 1, you can see another picture of the subject property. If you're looking at the first comparable, 1109 Wall Avenue. Right.
Second here. All right, I think everybody has it. Thank you.
Perfect to have you.
Okay, so
Okay,
page one.
okay,
Okay, so page one, you can see in picture, it's all a body shop. So the first comparable the assessor has is 1109 Wall Street, 1002. So you can see that it's basically all office in the front, and there's some building at the back, but there's a large portion that's office. So basically, that would demand a higher rent, and it doesn't look like it could be used as a body shop. The next comparable is the Matt Masters 1801 Sargent Avenue, and again, it could be used as a body shop, but it's obviously going to have higher rent because of the large office portion on the front. The property at Erin, as we've seen before, I don't think you could use it as a body shop. I think you'd need more height to basically have spray booths, and you need the height in a body shop at the 14 feet because of the dust, etc. So I don't think you could use that as a body shop. So, and again, maybe 30% of that building is office, so that would have a higher rent. And then the last one got low ceilings, and I guess you could use it as a body shop, but it's kind of sketchy, I think. So that's my presentation on the assessors comparables.
I thank you. Mr. Harling, questions?
Nope, I'll just leave it at that. So
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
Just one point. Mr. Rack, you heard me ask the assessor how they arrive at the value with the model, and he said they take many properties into consideration. He didn't specify 3 or 4 or 2. He gave some of those as comparables, but you respect, because I believe you were an assessor in the past, that it takes many properties to come up with a model value, correct?
That's correct. But when I was an assessor, I spent a lot of time looking at the subject property and determining whether or not the rent they were actually receiving was valid. And as you know, they look at a lot of properties, an awful lot of properties. And I'm sure if the assessor wanted to prove that maybe $6 is more accurate, or maybe the actual net rent was more accurate, within their system, you can find those properties. Like we've seen the properties we're looking at today, the assessor's using the same comparables over and over again. And I spent an awful long time, I settled lots of properties when I was at the department, because the first thing I would look at is that actual rent they're getting valid? Then I look at how many years are they getting that rent for? So yeah, the model uses all sorts of things, and we don't know what the model's using. And we obviously, when you're looking at the comparables, I know he basically has a screen that has all sorts of numbers on it, and he just picks them because he's really busy. But you have to look at your comparables to see whether or not they're actually comparable to the property. And if the rent the property's getting is what it's getting, that's what it's going to sell for.
Okay, I understand that. And Mr. Harling, in fairness to him, did admit that he has been very busy and didn't have time to do a review to the level he would like. So
yes, I would just like to know, and I just don't randomly pick comparables, but yes, I mean, if I had more time to search, I would. Yes, so
yes, exactly. We accept your evidence to that. Thank you, Mr. Rack. No further questions.
I thank you. Mr. Marks?
None for me, thank you.
Okay. Either party wants summation?
no, I'm good, thank you.
Correct.
I'm good.
Okay. We'll go on to the next property, which is number 6 on our docket here, which is number 47 Gomez. So Mr. Harling, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, Chairman. The roll number is 13099072000. The address is 47 Gomez Street, and the owner is Leon A. Brown Limited. The 2023 assessed value, based on the reference date of April 1st, 2021, is $4,626,000. I did have a chance to kind of review, to go over this property bit and to look at the appellant's brief. And I actually do have a recommendation to put forth in this particular property. I just would like to note, we are using currently a leasable area of 71,782 square feet. After reviewing Mr. Rack's brief, there's a difference in terms of leasable area. So I'm making a recommendation to adjusting that leasable area from the 71,782 square feet to 68,096. And this is a revised value of $4,388,000. So $4,388,000.
Mr. Rack,
Well, that's my number, so I'll have to agree to it.
I'm sorry?
That's the number I had, so I agree with it. I thank you for the recommendation.
No,
You are in agreement?
Yes, I'm in agreement at $4,388,000 with the corrected square foot.
Mr. Whitbread, any questions in regards to the recommendation?
None.
Mr. Marks?
No, thank you.
The recommendation, Mr. Harling, is based on a corrected square foot.
correct. Corrected leasable area. Yes, correct.
And can you give us the square foot rate?
Here, like the price per square foot you'd like, I guess. Well, it actually would be, just give me 1 sec here, apologize. I had
$6.60.
yeah, $6.60, or I had $6.59, but same thing, $6.60. Yeah, so
650?
no, sorry, I had it $6.59, but if you just round it, it's $6.60. So
Okay. Cap rate?
cap rate was 8.9%.
All right. So that clears Gomez. So we'll move on to number 7, which is 323 Edwin Street.
Correct.
Mr. Harding, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The file number is 22-3740, and the roll number is 1308-128-1500. The address is 323 Edmund Street, and the owner is Leon A. Brown Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $972,000. This property I actually also was able to do a bit more research on too before the hearing. And after doing some more research, I'm actually going to make a recommendation. And this recommendation is to adjust the vacancy. We are currently using a 6.5% for vacancy. However, this property, just looking at history, it's had an issue of chronic vacancy. So not unsimilar to the other property we had spoken to. So I'm applying a 20% vacancy from the 6.5%, which gives us a revised value of $688,000.
680,000?
688.
88, sorry. Mr. Rack?
Again, that was my number. Thank you for the recommendation, and I'll accept 688,000.
Just offhand, Mr. Harling, cap rate there?
Cap rate is
9.3?
9.3, correct. The overall rent would be $4.43 a square foot.
Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
No, thanks.
Mr. Marks?
Nothing. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to the last, which is number 108 Alexander Avenue. So we will deal with the presentation and then Mr. Rack's presentation, and there is, I understand, another rebuttal. So Mr. Harling, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property.
Thanks, Chairman. The file number is 22-3729. The roll number is 130800391100. The address is 108 Alexander Avenue, and the owner is Leon A. Brown Limited. The 2023 assessed value based on a reference date of April 1st, 2021 is $2,011,000. You look below my brief, you'll just see some information about the property. It's a 3-story building. The actual years built are, the effective year built are 1923 to 1947. And the wall heights are 17 to 21 feet. The land area is 21,716 square feet, and leasable area is 42,550 square feet with a land to plan area of 0.95. If you go to page 2 of my brief, you'll just see the requests for information have been received. There are no recent sales on the subject property. I just want to, I'll just give a quick note. There's actually, this property has 2 income streams. There's a storage warehouse income stream and then a loft warehouse income stream. So I'll be going through that as I go along, but I just want to give the board a heads up. So, but on page 3 of my brief, these are the rent comparables. These would be for the loft warehouse area, which is, I'll go into it. Like I said, I'll go through the comps first, and then I'll go into more in depth. So then my comparables range from November 2015 to April 1st, 2019. Lease terms are 5 to 10 year leases. The leased areas range from 3,227 square feet to 16,676 square feet. The wall heights range from 11 feet to 12 feet. And the effective year builds range from 1905 to 1911. And the net rents range from $7.65 a square foot to $9.25 a square foot. Now, if we go to page 4 of my brief, this is the first income stream, the loft warehouse income stream. You'll see there are multiple rents here, and we're using an overall blended rent of $5.27 a square foot. This gives us a potential rent of $189,254. We're applying a vacancy of 15%, which gives us an effective gross income of $160,866. We're allowing 3% for expenses and $3.85 a square foot for shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $135,296. And we're applying a 9.35% cap rate, which gives us an estimated market value of $1,447,000. And just to note, this the loft warehouse leasable area is we have it at 35,921 square feet. I believe there's some discrepancies in how our leasable areas for myself and the appellant, but I unfortunately wasn't able to inspect this property, so I would have liked to, but I just ran out of time. So, but we'll get into that probably as we go further. Now, page 5 of my brief, these are rental comparables for the storage warehouse income stream. So now these rent comparables range from July 2017 to January 1st, 2021. Leases range from 3 to 5 years, and leasable areas range from 3,239 square feet to 10,010 square feet. The wall heights range from 12 feet to 17 feet, and the effective year builds range from 1925 to 1967, and the net rents range from $7 to $10.02 a square foot. Go to page 6 of my brief. This is the storage warehouse income stream. We have a leasable area of 6,629 square feet, and we're applying a model rent of $8.08 a square foot, which gives us a leasable area of 53,562. We're applying 15% for vacancy loss, and this gives an effective gross income of 45,528. And expenses for 3% we're allowing, as well as $3.85 a square foot for shortfall, which gives us a net operating income of $40,344. And we're applying a 7.15% cap rate, which gives us an estimated market value of $564,000. Now, if you go to page 7 of my brief, you'll actually just see the two income streams. So you can kind of just see the breakdown of each of them, and you can see the breakdown of the two values, and then you'll see the estimated market value of the total values combined together. So yeah, the two cap rates, one was at 9.5%, 9.35, and the other was at 7.15. So if you look at the cap rates in the industrial cap rate evidence, I believe the cap rates are supported. Both of these cap rates are supported. I would just like to note that the lot warehouse portioning, or actually I'll get to the pictures when I can explain a bit more. I apologize. There's a bit more moving parts to this one. So yeah, I believe the cap rates are supported though, and by their published rates. Page 9 of my brief is just the municipal act exhibit information. Now, page 10 of my brief, you'll see a view of the subject property, 108 Alexander Avenue. Now, at the bottom of page 10, you'll see this building has got it's actually two buildings. So now the first picture at the bottom of page 10 at the top would be on the Alexander side. So this would be the older portion of the building, the 1927 or 1923 portion of the building. And at the bottom of page 10, this would be located on Pacific. So this would be the newer portion of the building. This would be roughly 1947 when this one was built. So if you go to page 11, you kind of just see, now you can see a better picture of the two buildings. So you'll see obviously one's higher than another. As you can see, the wall heights range from 17 to 21 feet. And then page 11 at the bottom, you'll just see kind of the overview of the entire property. Again, one's facing Alexander and the other one's on Pacific. These are both on the same roll, so that's why we have this. Now, page 12 of my brief, you see another view of the subject property. And then at the bottom of page 12, again, you'll just see another picture of the subject property. And this continues on page 13. And at the bottom of page 13, you'll see the parcel boundaries of the subject property. Now, page 14 through 16, these are some floor plans I was able to obtain from some permits. These are the best ones. I tried to just get best permits I could. Again, this, as I said, this building is a building I think going forward I would like to inspect just so I can get everything, maybe make sure we have everything correct. But this is the most up-to-date floor plan I was able to find. So, so if you look at page 14, 15, you'll just see kind of the layout. And then page 16 is just kind of another site plan that I was able to obtain from a permit that was taken up previously. Page 17 through 19 of my brief through page 20, the income expense memo that was provided. And then page 21 through 22, again, just the COVID-19 supplemental questionnaire. Page 23 is just the outside sources to support the cap rates. And finally, page 25 is the industrial market report to support our model rents. That is my presentation. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Rack, questions?
Yes, I do have some questions. Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I was doing a little bit of work here. Sorry, I got to grab Alexander again. So yeah, let's go down to page 5. Variables.
Page 5, yeah.
Now, the 1111 Winnipeg Avenue, that was the property we saw that you used as a comparable for 983 Wall.
Yes, that's
which
correct.
Was the CPIX property, which is a one-story building that was all renovated inside. So that's the same property.
From the information you showed, yes, that is the same property. Yeah.
And the 1574 Aaron building is the one that was Winmar, which was a comparable for, it had the garage door and a bunch of Winmar vans in front, which was a comparable for the body shop, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And then the 14, that's all my questions, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out that those properties can be seen on the other briefs, use them again for this property, but that's all my questions.
I thank you. Mr. Whitford?
Nothing, thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Marks?
Nothing from you as well, thank you.
I don't have any either, so Mr. Rack, your presentation.
Sure. So page 1, you'll see that is the Alexander side, the first picture. And so there's 2 pictures on the top, the Alexander side. So you see the Alexander side is opposite the like a row housing of storage units. That was actually an old factory. On your left, those doors there that you can see at the end of the building, those actually go to one of the tenants. That it's actually, I don't know if it's manufacturing. They actually, the new tenant in there, they actually make vodka. Yeah, and it's all concrete floors. This building at one time was a stable. And if you go in that, you'll see that that's, if you're looking from your left, there's a second archway there. That used to be a set of doors that the horses used to go in. And it's strange, inside there's a concrete curved ramp that's probably 18 feet wide, and it's still there, and it goes upstairs. So originally this was, all the floors are concrete in there. Originally this was a stable, and they used to keep horses on the second floor, which is kind of different. So now, bottom 2 pictures are the Alexander side. And you can see that there's an overhead door. That's botanical paper. They manufacture by hand old style parchment paper, like it's made out of cloth and stuff. So that's actually a manufacturing facility in there. So to go down to page 2, there are 2 pieces of the building. As you can see there in the middle of the picture, one side is, the higher side is actually on the Alexander side, and the lower side is on the Pacific side. Okay, so now you're looking at the space at 108 Alexander. That was a space that went vacant for years, and that in there has been, I haven't been in there since they put the vodka guys in there. They've been in there for a couple of years, but that's where the vodka guys went in. So now you're looking at Sports Manitoba is on the 3rd floor on the Alexander side. And you can see, oh, the bottom picture above where it says Sports Manitoba Storage 3rd Alexander, that top picture is the space that they're using for making the vodka now. So Manitoba Storage, as you can see, there's these cages. Their whole area that they occupy is full of these small cages. Different sports teams and stuff like that store their equipment and anything else they want in that area. So it's full of all these cages on the floor, and the floors are concrete. And if you look at the right, you can see that there's cages on that side. It's, the whole floor is just basically cages. Then there's this other area on the 2nd floor on the Alexander side, and you can see it's pretty bad space. And that is actually Brian Globe actually rents that area there for all his magician type stuff. And you can see like there's cameras or spotlights on the left. That's something entertainment. I'll go to that later. And then there's Lift Fitness is on the Alexander side. And then the bottom picture here is the right part of the Pacific side, which was Blue Moon, where they were selling things. This is a picture when Blue Moon was in there. And now Botanical Paperworks has taken over that space. So you can see underneath there on page 4 that the property went up 36% from 2020. And you can see that on page 5 that it says is right, there are 2 income streams, loft warehouse and a storage warehouse. So you go down on page 6, you will see these are all the rents. Corporate entertainment, that's the Brian Glow space, 107 on your left. And 108, 2 at 108 there, those are Patent 5 Inc. Those are the guys making the vodka. I have to get there soon to inspect that space. Maybe they give away free samples. So you go down to the next page that shows all the income and expenses. You get a net operating income of $173,422. So on the Pacific side, the owner was asking a while ago $6 net for the space. he actually, or gross for the space, and he actually got $664 for that space. And the Alexander side is it's basically all storage space on the other side. There's nothing but storage. So if we go down, we got the expenses for from 2019 or 2017, 18, 19, and 20. The last one says 19, should say 17. And they're pretty much the same. So basically, I'm getting an average about $3.36 per square foot. You'll see from page 6 that they're all gross leases. Everything is included. And I made an error there on page 7 to say the owner's asking 6 net. No, it was asking 6 gross. So we continue on page 8. And so using the average of $3.36 per square foot for the shortfall and expenses, we have the Pacific side and income. That's the first calculation. And then on the bottom, we've got the Alexander side. We've got the storage warehouse and then the loft warehouse. So the top there, you'll see Botanical has basically the whole building at 11,000 square feet. They're paying $110,000 per year gross rent. Expenses at basically $3.36 a square foot comes out to $74,040 potential. Oh, so that is net 664 on that side. I guess that's because of the blue moon. That's what it turns out to be. So I guess I was a little confused that actually he did get more net rent than he was asking for that total space. He wanted 6, he was getting 664. My error, I apologize. Now on the other side, on the Alexander, so that's the Pacific side on the top, where Botanical is at the potential income of $73,040. And then the loft warehouse side, which is the Alexander side, which has the vodka company and the sports fitness and the corporate space, Sports Manitoba with all the cages. And there's one vacant space that I've adjusted to what the last person was paying in that space. So I'm getting a gross rent on that area of $244,454, removing the expenses, getting a net income of basically $3.83 a square foot. So I'm adjusting the shortfall from 385 to 336 since it was averaged over a number of years. Okay with that. So we've got the storage warehouse side, 11,000 square feet at 664, using all the city's departments parameters, vacancy, expenses, shortfall. I'm getting a 7.15% cap rate. Comes out to $764,720. The loft warehouse, which is all storage space and not as nice part of it. I mean, it's all concrete floors, basically almost original space. They're getting $3.83. Again, using the department's parameters of 15% vacancy, expenses, shortfall, and the cap rate at 9.35%. I'm getting $965,000. So that comes out with a total value of $1,723,000. And that's my presentation. Thank you. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm just doing one thing here, okay?
Thought I lost you.
Your figures don't add up.
Which figures?
The two figures that you're presenting here, it comes to 1,730,000. 23.
765.
If we round your first $765,000, $965,000.
You're correct. Comes out to 1,730,000.
Right.
Okay. Just took me a little bit longer, but I thank you, Mr. Rack. Mr. Harling, questions of Mr. Rack?
Just a couple of minor ones. I'm just curious on page 8, just for the expenses, like because I know you use the average again here. Is there any reason why you didn't use like the 2020 expenses or any reason at all, or why would you use an average? Just curious. Or
Well, the building, if you're evaluating any kind of a building for appraisal purposes, the more years you can look at, the better, because then you have a feeling of what it actually costs to run the building, because you're looking at heat, insurance, light, maintenance. I mean, for the large complex, $42,000 of maintenance is not bad. I've looked at all the maintenance and it's not bad. It's the things like heat and electricity and repairs and maintenance on those units is going to go up and down and fluctuate. So it's always, anytime you can look at multiple years, that gives you a better picture as what it's going to actually cost you to operate that building over a number of years. You just don't look at 1 year. I mean, when you're looking at income, yeah, the last lease you wrote is probably the best. But when you're looking at expenses, it's best to look at a number of years. And actually at $3.36, which is below what the department is using. And the department's expense shortfall is what they, the definition of shortfall is the cost to operate vacant space. So I'm actually using 336 and the department's using, what was it, 385? So I'm actually below what the department's using. So I think I'm well with, I'm well within the range of what an average expense would be for that building.
okay. And I guess the question is, like, there's no current vacancy in this building, I guess. Like, have they experienced issues with like chronic vacancy, or have they had any issues with vacancy and such at all, or no? Or because it looks like they're fully tenanted currently.
Yeah, I mean, there's one unit, I mean, there's about 3,000 square feet, but just previously from that 108, I mean, there was 7, 8, 9, there was about 10,000 square feet there, 108. Pat moved in at end of 2018, so November. That space was vacant for an awful long time. Plus the 108, for some reason, has never been rented. Botanical Paperworks took over 109 there, or 110, and they took that over in 2020. So that space was vacant for a long time too. Blue Moon. Blue Moon went vacant as the pandemic came in, and they were going to move before that. So there was a chronic. Right now, he's doing good. But in previous years, there was quite a bit, way over 15% vacancy in previous years.
Okay, so they're fully vacant now. There, okay. And I just noticed too, like I guess, and this is maybe something on our part, but I noticed there's a discrepancy in our leasable areas. Like you're using roughly about 45,000 square feet. We're at roughly 42,550, I guess. So we're slightly under the leasable area. I'm assuming you just use the leasable area based on the mailer, obviously, I guess. Or
yeah, I went over many years to see what the square footage was, whether it's gone up or down, depending on how the space is configured. And the current 2020 is pretty well what it's averaged, about what it's always been around there, give or take maybe 1,000 square feet. So yeah, I'm using the what's coming off the expense mailer. Obviously, that's the space they have, and that's what I was going to use.
okay, I'm just thinking we might have to maybe adjust it just so we got the same leasable area then. But that's no, that's good. That's all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread,
Asked and answered. Thanks.
thank you. Mr. Marks.
And I'm the same. Thank you very much.
I just have a couple of questions. And Mr. Rack, on the, so you're agreeing with the cap rate of 9.35 on the older building,
Correct.
part of the building. Now, you're using a cap rate of 7.15. So where do you get the 7.15 cap rate?
That's from the assessor's brief. If you look at page 5, this income summary is from the assessment department's website, and it's how the assessors valued the build. Well, not how he's valued the building, but it's how the model has valued the building. So on the storage side, they used 7.15, and on the loft warehouse side, they used 9.35. So those are department numbers. I used the department's numbers for vacancy, expenses. I adjusted the shortfall, and I used the department's cap rates.
Okay. All right, you have rebuttal for this one. So we'll deal with that then. So we just give it a chance, Mr. Rack, to find it.
Exactly. Do we have to review it again?
Well,
Is this 137.49?
Way on the bottom, the third rebuttal.
the bottom. Is it?
That's where I found it
Okay.
with all his comparables.
Same one again.
It's the same. Is it the same as the other rebuttals?
I believe so. Some of them.
Yeah, I wonder if it's small. Seems to be.
Maybe give us a hint, Mr. Rack, to tell us what this rebuttal is.
You don't have it?
Well, we have about 3 of them, so do you have a number?
Well, it's file number 223729. It starts off the top saying rebuttal 108 Alexander.
Okay. Okay. Yes, okay. Yeah, it's the
Okay.
file number 223729.
That is the first
Correct.
All right,
one. So just
you may proceed, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I pointed out I didn't notice there was actually 2 sets of comparables, but I did show and talked about the second set of comparables, which were used in the 983 and 931 Wall and 100 Higgins, which were a couple of them were, one of them was actually like a used to compare to the body shop. So this one is first set of comparables. So basically he has 4 comparables for the loft warehouse side. Just give me 1 sec, please, Mr. Chairman. So basically, there's only 4 comparables. 3 comparables, 1, 2, and 3 at $7.98. 250 McDermott. So you can see that this is an advertisement for lease. I took off, remember what companies could be, Avis Young. So they say that's a character building on Winnipeg's Exchange. It's down the first block from Main Street. I mean, it says polished hardwood floors, tin ceilings, operational windows. It's a lot nicer than subject property. You can see on the next page diagrams of the space. You can see the interior with the polished hardwood floors. Subject property has concrete floors. There's no polished floors. And basically, it's the corner building right on Market. I should have a picture of the outside, but you can go down and see that they show all the units, 4, 405, 412, 410. It's nothing like the subject property. And the other property he's showing at $8, and it's only 2,389 square feet. And we were talking before about economies of scale, but the large warehouses, and you're talking about 12,000 to 30,000 doesn't make a difference, but we both agreed that on smaller spaces, it does make a difference. And you're talking about only 2,389 square feet. So here it's at $8. And that building there is right opposite Red River, and it's like half a block to City Hall. So that's a better location. I just wanted to point out that there's basically only two comparables, and three are all in the same spot, which is between Market and Main Street, which is a better location. And that's all, Mr. Chairman.
I thank you. Mr. Harling, questions?
No, I'll just leave that. That's Mr. X's opinion, so I'll leave it at that. Yeah, that's good.
So Whitfred,
No questions, thank you.
thank you. Mr. Marks?
No questions for me, thank you.
All right. Mr. Rack, thank you for your presentations and results very soon. Mr. Harling, thank you for your presentation, and we have heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned.
Thank you for taking the time to hear our arguments.
You're quite welcome, Mr. Rack.
Thank you very much.
Mr.